What is happening at J Gamer Dude here? And Ubisoft is in some quadruple A hot water. Specifically, the fact that even their own investors are turning against them. So pretty much, a Ubisoft investor is telling the company to go private after it believes that management needs to change. So the basic idea is, for a company to go public, it means they are a publicly traded company or a PTC. Pretty much you can buy stock for that company, and then however the company performs, its stock will go up if they do well, and the stock goes down if they don't do so well. Now, I'm interested in the fact that, this Game Rant article does in fact say that Ubisoft went public back in 1996, which I thought was quite interesting. But basically the idea of a Ubisoft investor asking the company to go private is the basic idea that the investors are losing so much money that they're actually, in order to try and save the company and the money that they've put into owning some of their stock, that they're wanting the strategy of the actual company to shift to then lead into a more positive direction so they can get the money back that they've ultimately lost. Because at the moment, the company stock dipped following the launch of Star Wars Outlaws, leading the company into a near 10-year low. Star Wars Outlaws was generally well received, but hasn't been a hit as it expected to be. Now, it says it's been generally well received. This is only among critics. That being said, it has not sold particularly well, and that's kind of where a majority of the performance from a game comes from. It's not from the Metacritic average of a game, it's about how much does a game sell. And while some people do listen to critics, there are a vast majority more that seemingly are quite loud on the internet, but also don't actually pay attention to the actual reviews, because there are really, really bad games that people would play. Myself being one of them, of course. I do actually play a lot of pretty bad games. Not necessarily boring, but definitely bad. And keeping in mind that while this is at a near 10-year low, 10 years ago, Ubisoft was actually fighting Vivendi. So Vivendi was actually trying to do a hostile takeover of Ubisoft. And so you know what Ubisoft did? They created new IPs. They released games in different genres. So they went from Far Cry 2 to Far Cry 3, which was a great game. They released a couple of Rayman games, like Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins first, then Rayman Legends. They released a new Splinter Cell game in the form of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist. They also released a brand new IP in the form of The Crew. They also went with the Ubisoft route of making an extreme sports game in the form of Steep as well. You can already see there's this massive variety in their games, and they also released some of the best Assassin's Creed games during this period of time. Assassin's Creed 2 came out. Assassin's Creed 4 was really, really good. Black Flag. Everyone loves Black Flag. And depending on where your interests lie, you might also have an interest in Assassin's Creed Rogue, which was considered also to be one of the best Assassin's Creed games of all time. None of the Assassin's Creed following Rogue has ever come close to being considered that good anymore. And of course, Ubisoft, their performances are doing worse and worse as the year has gone on. 2023 was such an incredibly bad year for Ubisoft that they thought, hey, 2024 things are going to start picking back up again with the release of Star Wars Outlaws, with the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and now with Star Wars having come out, it's only gotten worse for the company's stock value as a whole. And so now even the Ubisoft investors are calling for a change in management of all things. Krupa and AJ Investments proposed two strategies to ensure that Ubisoft can succeed. One of these strategies is cost reduction and staff optimization, which may signal further layoffs in the future. Krupa explains that although recent Ubisoft layoffs have amounted to dropping 10% of the company's workforce, that is simply not enough. Investors hope that by taking this drastic measure, the company can streamline development while lowering debt. The additional strategy the investor suggests employing is focusing more on Ubisoft's core IPs. Oh yeah, so this is like, Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, and Tom Clancy games. So there was that, but also yes, so so additionally, the letter by the significant majority stakeholder being Juju Krupa of AJ Investments suggests a potential solution to Ubisoft's current issues is a management change. This has come off to many as a suggestion that Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot should step down as CEO, and that a radical shift in strategies is needed for Ubisoft's survival. Whew. So that is a lot to take in. The fact that this significant minority stakeholder is saying, down with the CEO, management shift is needed in order to ensure Ubisoft's survival. You need to optimize your staff more, so you need to cut a large number of jobs, even though you've already cut 10%, and that's clearly not enough. And then to also prioritize core franchises like Rainbow Six Siege, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, and the Tom Clancy games. But the fact of the matter is that they kind of haven't evolved beyond what they've done with Far Cry 3 ultimately, and I feel like every game that they release is only just another clone of Far Cry 3 to some extent, with their open world exploration and elements like that. Why they could not make another Rayman game, why they couldn't make another Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell game, why they couldn't, do a bunch of other cool things like that, is beyond me. Ubisoft is in an incredibly rough position, and it could not be worse. Now, currently the Ubisoft stock is doing incredibly badly. At least they aren't doing as badly as FaZe stock. So, pretty much the basic idea is that if your stock is less than $1 per stock, then you would, if it stayed that way for over 24 hours, then you would get delisted from the stock exchange and therefore forcefully made into a private entity rather than a PTC, which is a publicly traded company. So that is forcefully making you go private. And it very well could be that Ubisoft may very well end up hitting that point at some point, but only the future can tell. I don't know what Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to do for Ubisoft, but there has been a lot of discussions about how it's not going to be doing particularly well, especially for Ubisoft. So will this cause Ubisoft stock to go up a little, or will it continue to further nosedive into an oblivion down the negative spiral that it is? I'm curious. I'm waiting to see where this all will go and what ultimately will come of this. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 300 subs by the end of the year. And if you want to toss a few bucks my way so I can try and afford, Assassin's Creed Shadows and tell you about how bad of a game it is or something along those lines, you can absolutely do that through the link in the description below. But with all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.